two major bombshells comes out about what happened with the attempt on the former president's life. Things that News Nation brought out, one, and then the other was a citizen journalist that was saying literally what was happening before their eyes, and they saw it, and they were telling the police. Now we're going to go into that story a little bit more in detail. And both of these two revelations, it's not the fact that it shows there's some, ulterior motive or some bad player behind it. What it shows is an inept use of people that need to be trained better to make sure that we are getting the very best to take care of us. Now, this doesn't just go for the president. Think about this now. These are the same people. This is the upper echelon of law enforcement that's supposed to protect us. And they dropped the ball. Why did they drop the ball? And was it just the fact that they don't know what they're doing? Secret Service is blaming someone else. They're blaming the Secret Service instead of just owning up to the fact that they were failures. Let's talk about these two crazy stories today. And again, what I think we learned from them is that we have to protect ourselves. Simple as that. We're not the former president, and most of us probably will never be. But what it does mean is this should teach us one thing. Your life is only the most important to you and your family. Your family's life is the most important to you and your family. So we have to take care of ourselves. Let's talk about these stories today.
Show me what it's like to be circling among the clouds. Because without you by my side.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today on this beautiful day in South Mississippi. We are blessed to be able to share our life with you, and thank you so much for being here. Humbly ask you to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up if you like the content. Our goal is to always give thought-provoking content, wise-oriented content to where we can do our research and have a common sense approach to raising our family in this crazy world that we call America and this crazy earth that has been shocked lately by what's going on. Now let's talk about these two stories, and I want to talk about these not because everybody in the world's talking about it. I know we've talked about this for 2 days already, but these two stories just came out, and no one is talking about really the severity of the situation, and also whose fault is it that it should have never happened. Now, this gentleman was on a building. First story just released, and this was from News Nation. You can go back and watch it on their clips. Go back in their history and see what they're saying. There was an AP report that said, and News Nation dropped this, that a local cop saw this guy and had interaction with him. Also, the local cop said, "You can't be up here." They said the guy brazened the weapon towards him, and the cop got down. Now, I know that sounds crazy, and that is alleged, but this is actually what News Nation reported on. Also, that the AP gave them the story for this. Now, is there truth to it? I would hope so, because you have two major entities talking about it, multiple reports talking about it, but this needs to be figured out. If this is true, first of all, that officer needs to leave. He's not responsible enough to take care of the situation. Secondly, if he did interact, if it wasn't a brazen weapon, if he was interacting with the guy on the top of a roof or going to the top of the roof, there's no good point of that taking place. There's not like, well, we're going to get a better photogenic shot from this angle. You're looking at the former president of the United States and also the leader of the opposition party. There is no reason for anyone to not have service and Secret Service up there on that building. Don't talk about the police. This is a Secret Service issue. So first bombshell drop was News Nation and AP report showing that there was an officer that actually had interaction with this guy previous to the situation. Now, if that's true, that's a pretty big deal. Also, if you go back and watch some of the video footage, they're screaming explicative saying this guy has got this up on the roof. They can see basically the pew that the guy's going to use. They're seeing it. So if this is true and this police had interaction, why in the world was it not stopped before them? Also, the kind of situation I thought was kind of unique. How did he get on the building? Was he carrying a ladder? This building was like 15 foot up. It was a warehouse. I mean, was he walking around with a ladder? Was there conspicuously just a ladder there? That's another question we should ask. Now again, another situation that just dropped. Secret Service comes out and blames the local police for this situation. The Secret Service blamed local Pennsylvania police for failing to secure the rooftop in which this gentleman was attempted to take the former president's life. It says it's stating that it was outside their services. Now that is unbelievable to me, that the Secret Service has a direct view of a building. This is not some inconspicuous location. This building is literally sitting almost perpendicular, it looks like, from where the president was speaking, 150 yards, which if you're anyone that has dealt with 2A rights before and has hunted in your life, 150 yards is not a long way. So why in the world would they not secure this building and then blame the local PD for it? Now, I'm just going to be honest. No offense to a local police officer, but there's ranges of officials. I mean, we think of just regular police departments in local towns. They go to the police academy and they do a ride around, and pretty much they have a badge. Then you have the step up from the regular police, kind of the ones that's on the beat. You have the officers who have gained some status. They've been there a long time, so they've built up some rapport, they've built up some history, they've built up some character, but they've also built up experience. And then you've got, of course, the chief, and then you've so forth got that. Now let's talk about, you have the state, you have the highway patrols, the ones that are like the state officials, you have the state marshals, you have different protocols for those agencies. Then you have things like the FBI, you have things like the more nationalized versions of these things. But then you have the Secret Service, who is supposed to be like the top of the top, willing to give their life for whomever they're guarding. And now they're blaming it on the local beat cops? Before we go any further, I want to give you a word from the sponsor of today, because I do believe it will benefit you. Today's sponsor is Opus Solar. Now, you know I've talked about Opus several times in the past. My goal is to make sure that I help you get to the next level when it comes to alternative energy. Now, if you can't buy the big units, you may can buy the smaller units. Either way, guess what? There's a flash sale that Opus is having on Prime Day. It's on the 16th and 17th, and at that time, you can buy some of these units at the lowest price. There's a link below to the website that shows this. There's some accessories that you can get at a very low price if you're wanting to add to your unit. But maybe you're wanting to buy a bundle. Put the unit with the solar options together. Battery bank with solar options so you can have alternative energy. This will be the best time to purchase. I have an extra battery bank, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at doing solar panels with all the things I'm needing to hook that up. Right now, they're at the best discount, so if you're wanting to even add to your units, this will be the best time. That promotion goes from the 16th to the 22nd of this month, so it starts literally tomorrow. This could be the absolute biggest sale that you could get all year long from Opus Solar. For instance, the Mega 2 with their solar panels, you're saving around $730. The Mega 3, you could save upwards of $1,200 to $1,500. So this could be one of the best sales that you should be taking advantage of. When we talk about investing in things and buying tangible assets, alternative energy is a big one, especially when we talk about blackouts and hearing about how our petroleum is getting too expensive and worried about storms. If I have a ton of food that's in the freezers, or I have to worry about making sure my water's running, or running lights, or getting a fan, or just a simple coffee pot going, I want to make sure that I have that ability, and alternative energy through Opus could be the answer. Here's even more of a benefit. On top of the sales, we have a promotional 5% discount for Opus Solar that they want to pass to you. So not only are you getting the Prime Day sale, you're also getting an additional 5% off by using our link. I'll share it below. Please check out Opus Solar. They even have something even more special to me because it's a benefit for everyone. And this benefits even the ones who may not can afford the alternative energy and buy these solar battery units. Opus just started something called Opus Help. I want to read you their statement. It says, "We're excited to share the new project with you, a video series featuring preppers, people in different stages of their journey. We want to hear from the preppers. We want to hear their unique journeys. We want to see how they navigated their past, so that way it will help each and every one of us as we go along with trying to build our own supplies up. We believe by sharing these stories, it can help encourage you. And when we get encouraged with each other and build this community, it helps us say, you know what, that may be a good purchase. That may be something I need. I can see how it is an asset. So let's check them out." There's nothing wrong with encouragement and inspiration. And Opus Help is featuring things about preppers. And when you work together and you see what other people are doing, it helps motivate us. I know when I go to someone else's farm or I go to someone else's home and I see what they've done, it helps me say, you know what, I can do that. I can be that way. We can do better. So let Opus Solar not only benefit you when it comes to your prepping needs and alternative energy, check out some of these stories they're going to be launching because it will help inspire you. And actually, they're giving some money away at the same time for the ones they interview. So check out Opus Solar. Also, remember the discount, the 5% extra discount on Prime Day sales, the Mac. Put that in as your keyword. I'll leave the link below. Check them out. Do not miss this savings, especially the next few days. Opus Solar, the absolute best solar bank company that we are using and love having, and we have several of these things. There's nothing better than a peace of mind to know that when the power goes out, I still have a way to keep the power on indoors and also make sure my family is always safe. So the beat cop gets blamed for an inept drop of the ball and a failure by the Secret Service. I thought that was a huge, I guess I look at it this way. We have employees, we work with a bunch of guys, and we have to own up to our problems. If we make a mistake, and I know it's hard, but we have to kind of own up to it. Well, the Secret Service is just saying they dropped the ball and they made a failure, like everybody sees. They're blaming the local PD, the guy who may have got 12 to 16 weeks at the police academy, and he's supposed to take care of the whole situation and make sure the former president of the United States is safe. Now, if it's true that the encounter happened with a local police officer before and this transpired, absolutely, that police should be reprimanded, fired, got rid of for sure. But on top of that, let's forget that conversation. There was a building non-occupied by Secret Service that had direct access to the president. Now we see right next to the president, and you've seen in pictures, there's two snipers sitting on there, police snipers sitting on a roof that's kind of watching the crowd. The guy takes his eye off. Now we're not going to get into that discussion with those snipers there, but what I'm saying is they have direct sight of this building too. You would think that there would be someone on that building making sure they have direct sight of the other location. What about drone footage? Wouldn't you think there'd be drones in the air? I think this is a complete failure of Secret Service. And then if these two bombshells are true, that there was someone that encountered the guy and all of a sudden he either had a ladder or there was one conspicuously placed some other time on this building, and then all of a sudden the Secret Service is saying we're blaming the local beat cops because, to be honest with you, it's not our job to protect that building that far away, when we know good and well, and there's been reports that some of the shots that rang out for most snipers are hundreds of yards longer than this, triple, quadruple, in multiples of this location. And we think someone can't just do it, a civilian can't do it, and we're just not going to protect that area. That is unbelievable. So it wasn't the fact that, like we talked the last 2 days, why was there not an officer stationed there? Why was not Secret Service there? They thought it was out of their job to do. It wasn't in their job description. That is unbelievable. Now, another report that just came out that said, even after this situation, the Secret Service is not upping the security for the former president at the RNC convention. Does that not blow your mind? That the guy just had an attempt on his life and they're not willing to up his security that he's been asking for months. Another report we talked about yesterday was he was asking Mayorkas for more officers. And they give him a bunch of females and didn't give him any more. They deny him, and now they're denying him even more protection when he goes to the RNC. If I was him, I would have 24/7 private protection, and I'd be paying these guys and making sure they're not just some local people with DEI records. They would be trained people, trained former SEALs, trained former Special Forces to guard me. Again, I said this before, I think Eric Prince, someone like that ran a kind of private security firm that did phenomenal things in the military. If you want to get serious, that's the kind of people I would hire, and forget about all these people that the DOJ and the FBI and Biden administration has given me, just because they're trying to fit a quota of enough DEI women to guard me. It's pathetic. And the last point I want to bring up, and I say this, and I say it with skepticism, but I also say it with the fact that this is complete and utter truth. You have at least 70 million people that voted for Trump. You have another 20, 30, 40 million people who are very disgruntled by this administration. You maybe have another 20 or 30 million people who were independents or Democrats who now are going to support the president, our former president, because of this situation and because of the ineptitude of the one that's in office. So say you had 100 to 150 million people of America that are very upset, and also an attempt on their candidate's life. Did you notice one city being burned down last night? Did you notice one riot breaking out? Did you notice one Target or Nike getting looted because they were just trying to help their family? Did you notice that a Walmart was being torn slap up and people were being trampled over, and there happened to be people die in fire and flames and cars getting theft and looting everywhere? Not one city reported that. Not one city reported that there was a bunch of American patriots that were right-wing, that were going in the cities and destroying everything, and they were expressing their freedom of speech, and they were doing this because this is their expressionary grief. Not one city reported that, did they? So when it comes back to justification, are we justifying the fact of the craziness and the pandemonium that's went on for so long in our cities because it was their freedom of expression? All the while, 100 and 150 million people who support their candidate just had an attack on his life, and the Secret Service are, I don't know if they're covering up or just saying they're inept, or they're using DEI as this record for their failure, or they're blaming it on the beat cops, but I didn't see one city being burned down. Isn't that amazing? All right, guys, we are wrapping up for the day. Pay attention to this stuff. Again, I don't want to beat a dead horse. And what I mean by that, I don't want to keep on making these videos, especially about this situation, and we just keep talking about the same thing. But no one's hardly reported on these situations where they want to blame the beat cops, and then the beat cops are saying, well, we blame the Secret Service, and that means it was just a failure of drop of judgment to guard this building. That's close. We're not talking about inconspicuous building, but there's a ladder situation that no one knows how the ladder got there. It needs to be addressed. And also the fact that if a cop ran into this guy and they had conversations and there was exchange of words, or the fact there was a brandishing of his weapon, what are we doing to get to this point? Why is the Secret Service saying that was out of their line to where they had to defend? That's some things that we need to ask. And again, it goes back to government running things are not what actually thrives. I'm not saying that we don't have a good defense. I'm not saying that we can't run business as a government. This is the biggest, best economy and the biggest, best country in the world right now. But there's some things that we suck at doing, and that's the little things. Government cannot do it better than the private entities. So I go back and say private security is where it's at. If I was Trump, forget all this. And if they deny me again, who cares? Hire someone. You have the money and you have the support and the donors that's going to pay for it. And then secondly, I want to kind of end with this too. For the gentleman that died, that was shielded his family, he deserves a hero's funeral. I hope that they treat his family with the utmost respect. I hope someone like Wounded Warriors Project or some, the Twin Towers Foundation, some of those guys would step in, pay for their mortgages, and take care of this family, because he was just there doing what he wanted to do, freedom of expression of his support for a candidate, and then died. I hope Trump, I believe Trump would call that family. I don't know if he'd go to the funeral or nothing like that, but this guy deserves a hero's funeral, and his family deserves to be taken care of for the rest of their life. Not only was he showing heroicness by guarding his family and shielding, and I think any man would do that. Not only was he doing that, he was not in Syria. He wasn't in Baghdad. He wasn't in Iraq, Iran. He wasn't even in the liberal cities. He was at a rally supporting his candidate. Where has America gone when this stuff keeps happening? Pay attention to what's going on. Look at the truth. Look at what's real. Just like these reports, I knew about this situation with the police encounter for about 2 days. Right when it happened, we heard this report. And so the more and more that we dive in and try to understand it, I'm just thinking, why is no one reporting on it, especially when 2 news people drop it? And so far it has not been proven false. So hopefully I hope it's wrong. I hope that I am wrong when I say that, because if someone came encounter with this guy way before, brandishing his tool, and we did nothing about it, that guy's innocent blood is on that guy's hands, and that's dangerous. Guys, let me know your thoughts. God bless.
Like I can fly. You can take me high.